How you doing? Long time no see. Actually, the second day in the shop in 15 months. I have not. I've done a couple little repair jobs, but nothing big. I'm gonna give it a go, see what happens. And with the different saws that I have to work on here, some of them are a little complicated. Some of them are pretty straightforward. I didn't have the confidence level after being away from saws this long to just jump right into a saw that I didn't own. So, especially when they're complicated. So I have the lowly husky 365 special. Thanks, Eric. It's appreciated. I decided that a 365 special with a low top air cleaner and everything would be, if you're ever just going to make an ultimate sleeper saw, wouldn't that be a nice one? You know, it's the same chassis, 371, 372, really. It's the same saw, just smaller bore and a different sticker. But isn't that a nice one for a sleeper? So, what we have here is a stihl 66 bag piston, big bore, 56 millimeter. Now this is an aftermarket 372 cylinder. This happens to be one of the tight nickel cylinders that I had that the plating flaked off. And I had Joe bore this and sleeve it to 56. Thank you, Joe. But when I got done, and I finished the machining that I needed to do on this cylinder to get it where I wanted to the other day. What I didn't like was my squish band was really wide. And I wasn't comfortable with that because I know that a wide squish band will kill a saw off quicker and I'll get out. So what I did is, and this is something I've done before in the past, I just never shown anybody. I make a 30-degree cut. What that is, it's just a bolt with a valve seat cutter for automotive valves to do the seats in your heads. That's all that is. They're relatively cheap on eBay. These are from India, actually. And I've got a few different ones that I use. You can get them in 30, 45, 60 degrees, whatever you want, for your different type of cuts, okay? And basically, like in this particular case, I just turn a little knob right here. I've got a little mini precision lathe. That grabs a hold of it, spins my cylinder. I can do whatever machining I want rapidly. This goes in my tailstock of my lathe in the drill chuck. So I spin my cylinder. This remains motionless. It just sits still. Just that's the way you drill. It's like a drilling operation in a lathe. You turn them dead slow, real slow, or you'll get a lot of chatter. And when you first start cutting, sometimes you get a little chatter, which I did, was no big deal. And so I made these cuts. And I had an extremely small combustion chamber anyway, and it kind of still is. But I didn't want a great big wide squish band. I wanted less squish band, and I'll explain that why in just a minute. But you can see there how that cut worked. Maybe I get a flashlight and help you out a little bit. And it'd be nice right there. See, you can see that cut. It works out nicely for me. Those of you that mess with sleds, snowmobiles, and motocross bikes, you'll instantly recognize the shape of that combustion chamber as something that you like. It's the chainsaw thing that nobody gets it, kind of. And compression is not king in a saw, believe me. So what I'm going to do is use a single ring, okay? And in this particular case, because it's such a large diameter, I'm not going to thin the ring. I'm going to give it a chance just the way it is. This is the first time of building this particular saw. Ends up 90.4 or something like that. It's a 90cc saw out of a 365 special. So it's going to be interesting. I'll get myself set up here, and we'll just slowly start putting this burger together, and we'll just, anything that crops in mind, I'll share it on the way. Quite honestly, the easiest way to put these series saws together, it just bolts your intake and everything all together. And I got my piston on. I didn't forget my circlips. I didn't even almost forget them. I was worried about that. Well, I've been out of the saddle too long, I can tell you that, guys. Just bear with me, and let's just hope for the best here. Yeah, why didn't I pick something easier? Well, something for me I didn't have easier. I've got a couple really, really good friends that I want to work on their saws, but I just didn't dare. If I'm gonna screw something up, let me screw my own up first, right? Not that I'm too worried about that, but you don't know what could happen. Bad things happen really fast with a chainsaw. So do good things. That's the fun part, isn't it? That's what I thought. Engine, motorcycle engine assembly, silicone is what this is. I know there's a lot of people got all kinds of other favorites. Whatever you like the best, you use. This is what I use because I like it the best. If it works on motorcycles, it's good for saws, believe me. You don't need gobs of this stuff, just a nice thin coat. Said that a few times already, but I'm going to say it again because it's important. It really is. I got my bolts laid out in a magnetic tray right beside me. I got a little tiny nothing grinder nick on the base of that cylinder, and I'm gonna get that nick filled up with something. If it was very bad, if you ever do that, you get a grinder neck, JB well, just get it in there, file it off flat, be done with it, whatever it takes. It happens to anybody. I'm gonna tell you that. It's just the way it is. Now I got a little 2-stroke oil. I'm going to get a little bit on them. Not a lot, because just a little bit on the piston. Around the rings. Just little bits. Now, because this is a cast iron sleeve, it's not gonna, it doesn't have the taper on the bottom like we would have in an OEM cylinder or a decent aftermarket one. Get this out of the way. But what I gotta do is capture, all I'm doing is pull that ring back. I'm going to get it started over in the front. And we're started down. Make sure everything's clear. Keep going down. We're going to find out what I forgot. This is the fun part for me, you know that. Well, good thing I got long needle nose. It's easier to put some of these cylinder bolts in like that from the side. That front one it ain't. Well, neither front one actually. Kind of excited about this because I run some. You guys know the numbers about that I give you guys for saws. Well, I'm going to tell you what, as you increase the bore to beyond what's real, into that unreal territory like this, them numbers change. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I haven't even built enough of these saws to get a good grasp of them, of these really big 372s, 365, you know. I have not. So I'm still learning. Let's see what we got going on here. There we go. Well, you see, I almost forgot that. My impulse hose was under my rubber boot, and I'll show you here in a minute what I had going on. If you ain't working on saws every day, all the time, and you wait a long time, I see that it's a little bit of a journey. At least for me it is. It's great being out here with you guys. You don't know what it means to me. I've had friends on WhatsApp kind of keeping me occupied, and those of you that text me and stuff, and thanks guys. You got me through a rough go here. I ain't out of the woods yet, but now I'm just dealing with too damn old. Can't run. I have to stand and fight now, so I guess here I am. I'm standing here. This is my spot. And I'm going to fight with this chainsaw today. That's what I'm doing. And, but I've done so damn many of these, you'd think that this would be just for muscle memory. And it kind of is, except for details, little tiny details. I can see how this all works. Now, as a 90cc saw, I'm actually running a Walboro carb. I'm going to give it a try. The original carb. I'm not sure it's original for the saw or if it's for a 372 or what it is, but it's a Walboro HD series carb. I have a feeling that it's an HD12 off of 372. This saw's been apart before. Get these bolts all snug just a bit. Give them one more go around. Now, in the interest of having a sleeper saw, I didn't want it to look too goofy. I didn't want to have one of our radical pipes that we build on it. Initially, anyway. Let me just see how I feel about things later. I wanted to be able to hand this saw to somebody and expect to be just a good firewood saw, like they truly are. I'm not going to tell you a 365 is a logging saw, but I know people who've cut softwoods with them successfully. But they just weren't all that. Now what I got to do is I had my timing wheel on this. And I'll tell you what I did, guys. Because of that small of a combustion chamber, even after that chamber cut, and if you notice, there's just the slightest little pop-up on that. It ain't much. It ain't enough to say boo to. So, I have got this opening, the exhaust, at 95 degrees straight out instead of 98 to 100, 102. It depends on the saws, when I open them. But how much compression do I actually have static, and how much can I afford to lose without causing me grief? I don't want a saw I can't pull over. I do not. If it is, I'll make a dish piston for this sucker if I have to. I swear to God, 63 damn years old. I want it to be where I can run it. Things change, especially when you go through a health event. you know, it's significant. Your whole world changes. And those of you that went through it and have told me about it, God bless you. You made it. You made it. I think I made it too. Thank God. Little trick here. Just keep pulling that when you're putting that cover on, and that'll help you get it lined up. We'll give it a few little rips. You know what's funny? I could actually start this if I wanted to, but I don't think I'll start it today. I've got a lot of stuff here to put on it, and I'm actually waiting for the hat. I don't have a hat washer that goes under my chain brake flag. I don't know if I want to run the saw yet, or try to get somebody else to run it for me. I'm not running saws. I haven't run saws all winter. I made it through. God, I don't have any compression. I can hear it. Yeah, I know. A spark plug's out. I was trying to be funny and it didn't work, did it? Get my little piece of MIG wire. I use MIG wire for a pointer for my timing wheel here. And then I generally just hang it back up on this wire. There, that's kind of nice. Now, what I got to do is I got to get this carburetor back into this little rubber. They're kind of a little bit of a trick here. But it's like anything, you do enough of the darn things. Get my fuel line on. Then I got to snake my impulse hose through the tiny little hole, which you just grab it and bend it and put it in there. Grab it, bend it, and put it in there. Boy, that sounded easy, didn't it? Well, I'm going to have to encourage this one. Sometimes what I've had to do, guys, is take these impulse hoses and cut them at a bit of an angle to get them through. But this one went. This one went. Okay. Yeah, what I was talking about is right here. I had this hose right here. It was up underneath this rubber. Well, there's that tiny little hole there. You just grab your pliers. You can kind of stuff it through. Little oil helps. There we go. Enough of that, huh? Now what I got to do is get my throttle cable into the throttle holder. I'm all of them good ones. You know, them Chinese saws aren't, well, let's face it, they're not as good. The Husqvarna and every other brand under the world, they're not as good as these old ones. But I'm going to tell you what, the one thing they got, instead of this little plastic bugger right here for your throttle cable holder, it also holds your intake on. That's aluminum. And I use them. And my buddy Ryan at Wolf Creek sent me some more stuff. And in that care package is going to be the hat that I need and that aluminum throttle cable holder, amongst some more pistons and stuff for something pretty crazy coming up in the future here. Okay, we got that. It feels good. It feels good. There's no decomp in that, and it doesn't need one. And I'll tell you why. There's no hole in this sleeve. It doesn't warrant a decomp. It's not going to leak anything. It's going to be just fine. And let's see. The plug that I got, it's actually an Oregon plug. And we're going to give it a try. They wouldn't have sold them for this many years if they didn't work, right? Yeah, they would have, wouldn't they? I know. Okay, now what I got to do is I got to find my saw wrench. And I'll be right back with you. Okay. It's, got my little wrench. Really, boy, this is better not have too much compression, huh? I ain't gonna like that. Oh, it's gonna have enough. I can see that. Well, like I said, we're gonna give it a chance. If it's too much, I'll make a dish piston if I have to. I was really hoping that with that cut that I made, that 30-degree cut on that squish band, I was hoping that would do what I needed, but it didn't, did it? Get these bolts started. I think I'm missing one of these, and oh, I can find one laying around here some darn where. When you're putting these handles on these saws, just get a bolt started. Don't tighten nothing till you get them all in. You're just better off. Oh, I got a dog on it. For some reason I didn't think it had a dog on the inside. There we go. Sometimes these OEM handles, after a lot of years of hard labor, are tweaked a little bit. You gotta kind of wiggle things around a little, get them to fit again. This one don't look too bad. Now, the one thing I don't have yet, and I better address this right now, is I need the spring that mounts my cylinder. See, this is what happens. I forgot something almost. Yeah, I'm not used to making videos. You know what I did? I'm rambling away and I'm working away and the camera's not on. Kind of stupid one. That's what it is. I don't care. I'll get back in the hang of it sooner or later. Okay, we've got that. Let's see how bad it is. That's pretty bad. I don't like that. That's just stupid. Boy, I was trying so hard to get that compression down. I even left half the darn rings off. It still didn't help. But that's just going to give it a chance. I know what to do about it. It's not a big issue. I can handle it. I'm a big boy now. Now, the interesting thing is to try to... I got to find my exhaust bolts. And I actually had picked some up while I was uptown. And hopefully I can find the darn things. I'm just putting a regular stock can muffler with a bluey pipe hanging out of it. They work pretty good to get the heat out. Don't do much for the performance, but at 90cc's, I'll have all I want. A personal sauce for me, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't build orangutan for me. Not as a rule. I really don't. I don't need it. I do like it. I got to admit that. Okay. The saw's together far enough to put it, to start it. Believe it or not, I don't even have any gas mixed up. That's how it's shaky it's been. I just got to mix them up. And I got some 110 octane race gas that we're going to mix up. Probably mix up a gallon. Normally I mix up 5 gallons at once. I'm just going to mix up a gallon. Just see how this goes. here's something unique. Now, because I went to 95 degrees on my exhaust opening, that's when it opens. That's more than I normally would to try to get the compression down a little more, but you see that has little effect. I've been down this road. That's okay. So here's something I'm going to dispel a myth. In some cases like this, I'll tell you right now, forget blowdown. It's not relevant. I do not, when the exhaust opens and then how many degrees later the transfer is open, everybody thinks that's tied together. It is not, guys. I'm telling you, it is not. What is important with saws? When do the transfers open? Okay, that's what's important. When do they actually open? What's the degrees they open? Well, I can tell you right now where these open because I set them right where I wanted them at 125 degrees from top dead center. Okay, so if I would have a 100 exhaust opening, my blowdown would be 25, right? Okay, guess this is why it's not tied together. I'm opening at 95 degrees, trying to get rid of some compression. Bigger cylinder, bigger piston. I want that exhaust opening a little earlier anyway than normal. And here's another myth. Well, you're going to lose your compression. You go too high. Come on, guys. Grab a hold of this. Pull this for me, will you? Tell me if it's got any compression in it. And it ain't even started yet. Okay, so at 95 degrees and opening it, the transfers at 125 degrees from top dead center, that's 30 degrees of blowdown. Now, believe it or not, that's fine. That'll make a saw run. Where you run into trouble is if you got too low, like a 14, 16, 17 degrees of blowdown. You'll start losing some of your torque, is what you do. You'll get a really zippy saw, though. It'll be on the bench and it'll sound like a firecracker. So, when you're really looking at the big pictures, like as these guys will say, well, my intake opens at such and such a degree, so therefore it closes, at such and such time, and I'll have this much. No, I want to know my total opening. When does it open? When does it go? How many degrees I've got? In this saw, I've got 160. That's the absolute max for me. Okay? You do what you want. If you want to have it screwdriver in your hand all the time and have to readjust. And if you're doing that, even going that far, you better freaking know what the rest of it is that goes along with it. Okay? I'm going to tell you 154, 155 degrees will make any of these Huskies run so good. That's all you need. That's what's optimum. Okay? But we're a little bigger. Here's the deal. You build saws how you want, because this is a true fun thing. I just share what I do and what works for me, and heck with the rest. I don't care. There's so many people around the world that I talk to, I mean the whole world, about saws and this journey of these saws. And I've helped a lot of people, and I've had people bring up some things that I needed to know. Okay, and this is the way it works. It is what it is, right, guys? Okay, we have a saw here. I don't have any gas put into it. It's way too much compression. I'm half thinking about just taking it right apart and doing whatever it takes to get rid of some compression. I can probably go in there with a 45 degree 1.25 or 1.125 cutter and get that combustion chamber a little bigger. You gotta watch it. You only got so much room in there. Don't blow through. I've done that years ago on a saw doing this kind of stuff. I try to share these little tidbits. I'll tell you what I've got. We've got several fairly stock builds, just some light port work and stuff coming up in the 372s, and I think what I'm going to do is start doing a series of, Hey, I don't know how to work on saws. Where do I start? What am I doing? What's the little tricks? Let's do a clutch. Let's get a flywheel on and off. Let's tackle that. Oh my God, chain brake. Once that spring goes flying, you don't know where it went, and get it back in there safely without killing yourself or poking your eye. Let's do that kind of stuff. Let's get right down to the root of basics, the very basics. Okay, anybody can port a saw. Come on, it takes somebody intelligent to freaking actually work on a saw, don't it? Okay, thank you guys. You're going to see me in a day or so with a saw. Whether it runs or not, we don't know. But I think it will. Goodbye.